Y'all ain't ready for this one? Because what we just uncovered might be the real reason behind this whole Kendrick versus Drake beef, and trust us, it goes way deeper than just bars. Word on the street is, Drake been playing the long game, like months in the making. And get this, Kendrick Lamar, he don't even KNOW what's coming next. Sources close to Drake's inner circle are spilling some CRAZYT. And let's just say October's very own been plotting something so slick, so cold-blooded it could shake the entire rap game to its core. We talking about secret meetings, deleted messages, studio sessions at 3 a.m., and a mysterious collab with someone no one saw coming. Drake's been smiling in public, but behind the scenes, he's been lining up his chess moves for the ultimate checkmate. And if what we heard is true, Kendrick might have already walked into a trap with cameras rolling. The fans are in shock, the industry split down the middle, and now even some family members are speaking out. It's messy, it's personal, and it's about to get wild. Stick around, because this ain't just rap beef. This is war, so boom. It all started a few months back, right after the Kendrick versus Drake situation exploded online. At first, everyone thought it was just bars. Just competition. Two rap titans finally clashing after years of subliminals. But what nobody saw coming was how personal it was about to get. Because behind the music, behind the tweets, behind the so-called respect, there was a whole different story playing out behind closed doors. Drake was quiet. Too quiet.c after Kendrick dropped those ruthless diss tracks and had the internet going wild. Drake didn't respond the way people expected. No interviews, no posts. He wasn't clapping back with his usual confidence. Fans thought he was slipping. Some said he was scared. Even inside OVO, people started whispering that maybe Kendrick really got to him this time. But what they didn't know was that Drake had already started working on something dark, something cold. This wasn't just about rap anymore. It was about legacy, about revenge, about making Kendrick regret ever stepping into the ring. Now here's where it gets juicy. Around late July, an anonymous source from inside OVO reached out to a low-key blog off the radar. Nothing major. But the message was wild. They claimed Drake had hired a private team, not security, not lawyers, but media fixers and digital forensics experts. Their job? To dig, find everything they could on Kendrick's hold footage, unlisted tracks, quiet feuds, even buried legal documents. They said Drake was building a vault, a personal file, not to take him down publicly just yet, but to wait for the perfect moment. Then came the studio sessions. In August, producers who had worked with Drake before started getting called in for secret late-night sessions. Phones were taken at the door. No social media. No track list. Just a cold, focused energy. One producer said Drake wasn't talking. He was calculating. Like he already knew what he wanted to say. He just needed the right moment. But here's the crazy part. He wasn't alone in the booth. Rumor has it he had a special guest. A surprise feature from someone who used to be close to Kendrick, but fell out with him years ago over a quiet industry deal gone wrong. No names yet. But insiders say this mystery person has receipts, emails, contracts, and even voice recordings of private convos that could flip the whole narrative. Meanwhile, Kendrick was out there celebrating. He thought he'd won. Even started teasing a new project, appearing at private events with a smile like the king of the coast. People around him said he felt untouchable, that this was finally his moment to dethrone the boy from the north. But Drake, he was watching it all, not reacting, just plotting. Fast forward to September, and things started getting weird. A verified fan page that had been promoting Kendrick's music for years suddenly deactivated. Then two bloggers known for pushing Kendrick's narrative posted cryptic tweets and went silent. People thought it was coincidence. But a few weeks later, screenshots leaked of quiet DM exchanges, one of the bloggers claiming they had been pressured by someone from Toronto. The exact quote was, "I can't post anything else until this is handled." Drake's people are watching. At this point, fans were divided. Some believed the conspiracy. Others said it was fake news. But behind the scenes, something was definitely bubbling. Then came the betrayal that shocked everybody a week before October started. Kendrick's own cousin, someone who had grown up with him, performed with him, stood on stages beside him, posted a story on Instagram that set the internet on fire. It was just one sentence: "You can't scream loyalty while hiding your skeletons," and the background: a blurred photo of a studio session. With Drake.boom. Fans were in disbelief. Was Kendrick's own blood switching sides? The cousin deleted the post in less than 20 minutes, but it was already too late. Screenshots were everywhere. Reddit went wild. Subreddits broke it down frame by frame, even zooming into the waveform on the screen, trying to guess what track they were working on. But that was just the beginning, because the very next day, another leak hit the net. An unreleased verse allegedly recorded by Drake where he name-dropped Kendrick's team. And it wasn't a diss track. It was like a confession. But not about him. It was about them. About how righteous minds ain't always clean. How one of Kendrick's old business partners had allegedly flipped a major check behind his back years ago. And Drake had proof. Now Kendrick, still silent. Number posts, no tweets. But sources say he was fuming. One insider said he was pacing. Not mad Drake had something, but mad someone gave it to him. They said the betrayal hit harder than any bar. Because this wasn't about rap anymore. This was about trust. At this point, the industry started to buzz. Big names started choosing sides. One producer who'd worked with both artists unfollowed Kendrick and liked a Drake post. One R&B singer close to Kendrick quietly archived every pic they had together. Something was shifting. And then, it happened on October 6th. Drake flew to a private compound in Bahamas, no press, no fanfare. But paparazzi caught him stepping off the jet with none other than Quincy Blade. Now, if you don't know who that is, let's break it down. Quincy was the executive who almost signed Kendrick in his early days, but got pushed out of the deal due to creative disagreements. Since then, he's stayed silent. But the streets say he never got over it. So why is he meeting Drake now? According to an insider at the resort, Quincy and Drake spent 2 full days locked in a room with a whiteboard full of names, dates, and timelines. Someone said it looked like a murder board, but for career moves. What were they planning? Why now? Because apparently, Kendrick's house is not as united as we thought. That brings us to the moment where it all starts to unravel. Drake was done playing chess. The pieces were in place. Now it was time to make the first move. And oh boy, he wasn't pulling punches. The night of October 10th. Until the clock hit midnight, boom. Drake didn't just drop a diss track. He dropped a mini documentary. Out of nowhere. No warning. A 15-minute visual uploaded to a burner YouTube channel that got shared so fast. It had over 2 million views before the morning sun even hit Toronto. And what was in it? Not just music, not just lyrics, but evidence. The video opened with a black screen, soft piano playing, and then the voice of someone very familiar. I told y'all the truth would come out eventually. Then the screen fades in. It's a dimly lit studio. Papers scattered across a table, contracts, text messages, voicemails. And then Drake walks into the frame, sits down, looks straight at the camera, and says, "This ain't about rap anymore. This is about lies. This is about betrayal. This is about everything he tried to bury. That I'm about to dig up, bro." The internet went insane, but what really shook people was what came next. Because Drake didn't just talk. He showed receipts. The documentary-style video began breaking down Kendrick's past dealings, silent partnerships with shady investors, disputes over Black-owned business funding, and, most shockingly, a clip of a voice recording where someone sounding a lot like Kendrick was allegedly heard yelling at a former friend over exposing too much in an interview. The caption under that scene: "How much is your silence worth?" Now, again, nothing was confirmed officially. Drake didn't drop names. He didn't say dates. But the implications, it's heavy. And the fans started connecting dots faster than the internet could handle. .subreddits blew up. Old interviews of Kendrick resurfaced. Fan pages started posting side-by-sides. The court of public opinion was in session and it wasn't looking good. But the wildest part? It wasn't just fans reacting. People inside Kendrick's own circles started speaking out. Low-key, subliminally, but clearly. One of his former engineers tweeted, "Shoulda never thrown stones when you live in a house made of masters you don't own." That tweet was deleted 15 minutes later, but not before it was screenshotted and reposted everywhere. Then, out of nowhere, Kendrick's older sister, who stayed private for years, posted a photo of her and Kendrick as kids, with the caption, "You changed." Just that. Nothing else. She took it down the next day. But the message was clear, and Kendrick, still silent. He hadn't posted, hadn't tweeted, hadn't said anything, which only made things worse. Because in the rap world, silence sometimes speaks louder than any diss track. Fans were divided. Some said he was playing it smart, waiting to strike. Others thought he was cornered. Meanwhile, Drake, he was playing the long game. 2 days after the video dropped, Drake was spotted at a dinner in Atlanta with none other than J. Cole. And yeah, y'all already know what that means. The same J. Cole who dropped his name out of the beef. Now suddenly at a dinner with the Sixth God while Kendrick's name is burning online. The paparazzi caught them laughing, sipping wine, and even dapping each other on the way out. It looked casual, friendly, but fans ain't stupid. They knew that wasn't no regular dinner. New alliance was forming. And this is where things got even more complicated. Because while the public was distracted with the drama, Drake made a silent move that nobody saw coming. He bought the rights to an unreleased song that was originally meant for Kendrick's 2013 project. How did he get it? Apparently, it was sitting in a vault owned by a label executive that Kendrick used to work with. And once again, Quincy Blade's name popped up. Sources say Drake paid 6 figures cash to get the song. But here's the real kicker, the track. It had a sample that Kendrick never cleared, and apparently, it referenced a real-life argument he had with a famous R&B singer, who just so happens to be dropping a tell-all memoir next year. Fans pieced it all together, and suddenly, this wasn't just music drama. This was starting to look like a full-blown expose, and Kendrick's scamp. They started scrambling. A source from Top Dog Entertainment anonymously told a hip-hop blog that damage control meetings had been held, and certain public relations teams were being hired to manage what they called a potential reputation crisis. They said emails were flying, phone calls were being made, even NDA reminders were being sent out. In the middle of all this, someone else decided to speak out. A rapper from Compton, who came up under Kendrick's mentorship but hadn't been seen with him in years, went on live and said he was the king until he forgot the kingdom. You can't preach real and then ghost your day ones. Drake just pulled the curtain back. Fans didn't know what to believe anymore. On one hand, Kendrick's legacy is built on being authentic, real, revolutionary. But on the other hand, why was everyone around him suddenly switching up? What was Drake sitting on that hadn't even come out yet? Because here's the thing. According to New Whispers, that video Drake posted, it was just part 1. A well-known music journalist tweeted and quickly deleted, "What I just saw in that private screening from UVO makes Pusha T look like child's play. Kendrick ain't ready, so now the pressure's on." Inside Kendrick's camp, rumors say tensions are high. One source said there was a screaming match between 2 of his longtime team members after one of them was accused of leaking footage. Another claimed Kendrick's been re-recording tracks he planned to drop next month because the tone has to shift. Because now, it's not just about making a hit, it's about survival. And to make it worse, Kendrick's tour manager accidentally liked a tweet that said, "Maybe the king ain't the king after all." Fans saw it, screenshotted it, and started asking, is his own team doubting him now? Drake, on the other hand, hasn't said a word since the video. He's been silent, smiling in photos, shaking hands with execs, playing the game, but everyone knows. This is just the calm before the storm, because according to another leaked DM, the second part of Drake's plan isn't a diss track or another video. It's something even more sinister, something that could involve Kendrick's old deal with Interscope. There are whispers of financial records, royalty splits, and even personal letters exchanged between Kendrick and a now-deceased industry icon. If that stuff drops, it's game over. So now the entire industry's holding its breath. Everybody knows something's coming, but nobody knows what. Kendrick's silence is louder than ever. And Drake, he's got the game right where he wants it. Cool, quiet, and ready to strike. But what nobody expected was the leak. Out of nowhere on October 11th at 2:46 a.m. A private folder from an internal email chain was somehow uploaded to a password-protected page on the dark web. Now, how it got there, nobody knows. But a tech-savvy hip-hop sleuth found it, unlocked it, and posted screenshots on Twitter before it got taken down. And what was in that folder? A series of documents that allegedly exposed the real reason Kendrick and Drake fell out years ago before this public beef even started. And bro, it wasn't about rap. It wasn't about clout. It was about a woman, and not just any woman, but someone they both knew personally. Someone who was close to both of them during the early 2010s. The rumors say she was a creative consultant on multiple projects, and according to the files, she had deep ties to both camps. And receipts to prove it. Text messages, voicemails, even what looked like a handwritten letter from Kendrick himself. All referring to a time where he allegedly felt betrayed, not by Drake, but by her. The story goes that she had been in a low-key relationship with Kendrick, while also allegedly helping Drake behind the scenes on a major 2015 rollout. Kendrick found out, felt used, cut her off, and ever since he believed Drake knew and played him. So this wasn't about beef. This was about pain. And suddenly everything started to make more sense. The cryptic lines in Kendrick's older verses, the tension that had been simmering for years, the random jabs. It was all rooted in a personal grudge that was never resolved. Fans were shook, because now this wasn't just industry drama. It was human, emotional, raw, and Kendrick's silence. It started to sound like heartbreak. But here's where the twist comes in. Because while the world was busy dissecting those documents, another story broke. And this one turned the tables fast. A leaked clip from an upcoming podcast episode of a former OVO affiliate dropped on TikTok. In the clip, the host is talking about a phone call between Drake and a certain legendary rapper, someone both sides respect, where Drake apparently said, "I don't even hate him. I just need him to feel what it's like to bleed publicly, bro." Fans lost it. Was this all calculated? Was this revenge disguised as a rap war? Was Drake really weaponizing emotions to break Kendrick down in front of the world? The backlash came quick. Suddenly, people were like, wait, is Drake taking it too far? A few influencers who had been pro-Drake started backpedaling. A big-time Spotify playlist quietly removed Drake's latest track. Kendrick's fans began trending #ProtectKendrick, claiming this was more than beef. It was psychological warfare. It was more than beef. It was psychological warfare. But then Kendrick finally moved. No post, no statement, but a photo. October 12th, 9:13 p.m. Kendrick's Instagram account, which had been inactive for weeks, uploaded a black and white photo. No caption. It showed Kendrick sitting alone in a chair in the middle of a dark room, staring at the floor. In his hand, a notebook with pages torn out. The message was clear. He was writing, and he was coming. The comment section went crazy. Fans, fellow artists, even label execs were jumping in. Emojis, prayer hands, swords, crowns. It was a digital war cry. And in less than an hour, the photo had over 3 million likes. Drake saw it too. That night, He reposted a fan art piece showing himself as a chess master with the caption, "Your move." So now the tension was boiling. But behind the scenes, new drama was brewing. Because another person stepped into the story, and this time it wasn't a rapper. It was family. Kendrick's uncle, a respected figure in the California community, posted a Facebook rant calling the beef childish, dangerous, and born from egos too big to apologize. He said the industry was feeding on their pain and turning it into profit. He said, "Both of y'all forgot where y'all came from." And that post? It hit different. Fans started debating. Heavy. Some said the drama had gone too far. Others were saying, nah, let them cook. But one thing was clear. The battle had become bigger than music. It was about pride, about pain, about past wounds that had never healed, and then, as if things couldn't get messier, an unreleased track snippet leaked on Discord. Now, no one knows how it leaked. But it sounded like Kendrick, raw, unfiltered. And in the snippet, he said, "You weaponized my silence like I ain't got war drums. But now I got time and memory sharper than war tongues." It wasn't confirmed, but it felt like a warning shot. The snippet went viral within hours. Instagram Reels, TikTok edits, YouTube reactions. People were calling it the calm before the cut. Even rappers started tweeting cryptic bars. And then, just when things were reaching a boiling point, another name got dragged in, Rihanna. Now hold up, before y'all jump to conclusions, it wasn't about her. But someone on Kendrick's team made a wild claim during a private IG Live that Drake had tried to buy silence from one of Rihanna's former team members over an alleged 2017 incident involving both artists at a private party in Barbados. And that sent the whole internet into a spiral. Because if true, it meant Drake had been trying to cover up multiple stories at once while launching attacks from the shadows. Some fans started calling him the puppet master, while others called him out for being manipulative. Kendrick still hadn't dropped his response officially, but behind the scenes, the machine was moving. A trusted engineer posted a photo of Kendrick in the studio with a candle lit beside him. No caption. But the vibe was clear. This was spiritual now, personal, a purge. And in the background, a whiteboard with the words, "Don't clap back. Burn the whole building down." So now we're in October 13th, and Kendrick's camp has officially gone full lockdown. No phones, no leaks, no distractions. People close to him said he was living like a monk, locked in the studio for 72 hours straight, barely eating, barely sleeping, just writing. And the whispers were growing louder. Industry folks started saying the response was done, not just a diss, but a film, a statement piece, a full-blown creative nuke. But the twist, it wasn't going to be released traditionally. Not on streaming, not on YouTube, nah. Kendrick was about to do something no one expected, but before we get there, Drake made his final move. October 14th. Early morning, a surprise OVO live stream popped up. At first, it was just ambient music. Clouds drifting across a purple sky. Peaceful, almost eerie. Then, out of nowhere, Drake's voice. They say silence is power, but sometimes it's just hiding shame. Boom. Then came the visual. Drake sitting alone at a rooftop in Toronto. He looked calm, collected, almost too relaxed. And in a single take, no cuts. He delivered a spoken word monologue that sent chills down the internet's spine. He spoke about loyalty, betrayal, fake friends in the industry. But in the last minute, he dropped one line that nobody will ever forget. "I don't need to finish him. He's already writing his own eulogy." Mic drop. Twitter exploded. Fans were calling it the most savage, soft kill in hip-hop history. He didn't diss directly, didn't name names, but the message was crystal clear. And people started saying, maybe Drake already won. But little did they know, Kendrick wasn't planning to reply. He was planning to erase the board. October 15th, the industry woke up to pure chaos and awe. Anonymous invite had gone out the night before to a list of top journalists, tastemakers, influencers, and industry elites. It said one night, one showing, one truth, location, unknown. But those who were picked got flown out. Private cars, blacked out windows, security tighter than a presidential debate. And when they arrived, they were escorted into an abandoned theater in downtown Los Angeles. No phones, no press, just a screen. And then Kendrick's face, no music. Just him sitting in silence, staring at the camera, and slowly, he started to speak. He broke down the pain, the betrayal, how the industry feeds off division, off drama, off blood, how fame had twisted the people around him, how he had trusted the wrong ones and loved people who weaponized his heart. And then he said it, Drake ain't my enemy. My enemy is the machine that sold both of us the same lie. Bro. People in that room started crying. One exec reportedly left halfway through. Another influencer passed out. Because Kendrick didn't drop a diss, he dropped a confession. But then he flipped the switch. Because the second half of the film, it wasn't about him. It was about Drake. Kendrick didn't expose dirt. He exposed a pattern. Footage, charts, old interviews, and emails. This was a timeline of manipulation, of quiet plays, of artists and influencers whose careers had suddenly derailed. After speaking out or walking away from the OVO circle, and at the end of the film, Kendrick asked one question. How many careers gotta die for one man's ego to breathe? That line hit the internet like a meteor dot. Because what people didn't know was that theater screening, it had been secretly recorded by Kendrick himself. And within an hour, the full visual dropped on his website. No promo, no link in bio, just a plain page that read, "The truth ain't monetized." You had to choose to see it, and once people did, it was like watching the walls collapse. Big blogs started posting reactions instantly. Influencers who used to clown Kendrick started switching up. The hip-hop community shook. Even people who were tight with Drake, folks who had stayed neutral this whole time, started posting cryptic messages. A well-known A&R tweeted, "I saw both sides." And only one man looked in the mirror. But what happened next was the final blow, because one of Drake's former label partners, someone who had remained silent, this entire time suddenly dropped a statement. A long one. And it confirmed the unthinkable, that everything Kendrick showed in the film, the pattern, the silence, the disappearances, it was all real. The disappearances, it was all real. "I stayed silent for a long time because I was afraid," he finally said. "Afraid of the consequences that come with telling the truth. But the culture demands honesty. Yes, actions were taken. Yes, calls were made. And yes, careers were ended, intentionally." He never said Drake's name. He didn't have to. The streets already knew. And from that moment on, everything shifted. Kendrick wasn't the villain anymore. The mask had fallen, and people started to look sideways at Drake. Was he really the mastermind behind it all? Was the real damage happening quietly, behind closed doors? Suddenly, the silenced voices started to speak. Artists reappeared. Forgotten names found new stages. And the internet, it exploded. Timelines lit up. Hashtags flooded. Kendrick was no longer the target, Drake was. And Drake, he vanished. No statement. No denial. No bars. Not even a cryptic Instagram caption. Nothing. Insiders confirmed it. On October 16th, Drake abruptly left Toronto, canceled every appearance, and turned off his phone. No one knows where he is. Even OVO staff are reportedly shaken. One assistant left behind a single quote. "The sky cracks back. When you play God for too long, it's just like that. The king disappeared. No mic drop. No final verse. Only silence and maybe." That silence says more than any track ever could. Fans are split. Some say it's chess, he's just planning his next move. Others say he was hit so hard he couldn't respond. No verse. No smile. Not even a goodbye. Some say it wasn't his image that got hurt. It was his soul, and Kendrick, Gone 2 flew back to Ghana, the same place he escaped to when fame became too loud. No album, no tour, no posts, just peace, just breath. And maybe that is the real win. Because this was never just a rap battle, it was psychological warfare. A quiet storm between ego and truth, image and reality. Drake is gone. Kendrick didn't even have to drop a final bar. And now, the game is frozen, waiting for the next shockwave. So what do you think? Did Drake go too far? Was Kendrick always 10 steps ahead? Or are we all just pawns in a much bigger game? Comment below, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because this story, it's not over, not even close. Stay locked in. Stay loud, stay dangerous, stay dangerous.